Join me as we talk all things true crime.
Made contact and shattered.
The missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in about that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her, they've been feeling worse.
Turn it over to another agency. Let's get some help.
Where are your kids? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say? You're over here in Hawaii? Chad, where are Lori's kids?
4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds.
Most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Hello, Lex Luthor, Sarah, Adam, Shay, Florida Bass is here. I see everybody else. Thanks for being here, guys. We have some stuff to get into. So if I don't say hello to you in chat, I see you and I will type to you as soon as we start playing some of this audio. So we're going to go and we're going to listen to the phone calls between Alex, Buster, Randy Murdaugh is on this episode, as well as John Marvin. And obviously these are phone calls from a few years ago. The first one actually takes place on October 24th, 2021. Can everybody hear me in chat before I carry on? So one thing that I want everyone to sort of keep in mind as we listen to these phone calls, and I know that sometimes, I know that some of you have probably listened to some of these. Some of you have listened to these before the trial even started. The whole objective here is I'm thinking I want to kind of listen to these phone calls with everything that we know now, everything we learned in trial, everything that came out. I just want to make sure that we cover all bases on this case, and I just haven't dove into these phone calls yet. We've gone through body cam footage, we've gone through the trial, him on the stand, but I think that it's important in understanding the case if we can just listen to these phone calls as well. So, guys, these calls, like I said, are October 24th, 2021. Now, he isn't charged with the double homicide until 2022. So all these phone calls that are taking place, these phone calls are simply because he's being held in jail for the crimes against the Satterfield family, the stolen money, etc. So these phone calls pretty much, he isn't being charged with murder yet. So I think that that's also an interesting element to these. So yeah, he was arrested in Florida, and then he went to a rehab area and detoxed, and then he was charged with stealing the millions of dollars from the sons from the Satterfield family. So that is the basis for, his crimes at this moment in these phone calls. So I think that that's important. Good morning, CDT. It's good to see you and everyone else who has joined. So yeah, just keep that in mind. They haven't even found any of the Snapchat videos, nothing. So this is 10 days after his arrest. And like I said, those arrests was related to stealing that money from the Satterfield settlement. Let's see. Buster has us speak to has his father speak to Brooklyn, his girlfriend. She just passed the bar exam. So that's going to be some of their conversation. The other things that have taken place, like around the time of these phone calls, is their accounts and all that were frozen after Buster gets back from Las Vegas. And in November, their accounts become frozen and Alex is denied bond. So it's a week after Thanksgiving, some of these calls, and Alex wants Buster to ask John Marvin for money, even though Buster insists that he's fine and that he doesn't need any. It's just very interesting. We're going to listen to it. We're going to pause it here and there. But yeah, I put together some clips first. It's like around 5 minutes of clips, but the clips are there to remind us of everything that has taken place. Again, he's not been charged for the murders at this point in these phone calls, but there will be some imagery from the night of the murders and all that, because that's literally what happened. Like all that had taken place right before these phone calls, months prior. So these phone calls are fall 2021, and then the last one is January 2022. Obviously, the murders took place summertime in 2021. So, a few months after the murders is when these calls are taking place. Alex also wants Buster to look back into law school and get on that. He also wants Buster to ask Maggie's parents for some money. Now, we don't really know if that's what he's asking Buster to do, but we're kind of assuming that at one point he wants Buster to ask Maggie's parents something, and it seems sort of private. And you'll hear Buster say that he didn't really get a chance to be alone with them to ask. And Alex sounds a bit disappointed. So the other thing that's interesting too is we'll hear about Blanca, the housekeeper, and he wants to know if Buster's gotten a hold of her. And just like I said, everything that we learned through the trial, everything Blanca testified saying, it's all just very interesting to go back. So like I said, let's get into it. We'll play some clips. Thanks for being here, everybody. And yeah, I'll pause it when need be, okay?
I need the police to answer immediately.
This is a long story. My son was in a boat wreck a few months back. He's been getting threats.
Hey, watch your step.
Better than it was, ain't it?
Come here, kid. Shit. Come here. Post it. Cat.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth.
Hey, Bubba.
That's a guinea.
This is a chicken.
Come here, Bubba.
Come here, Cash.
Come here, Bubba.
Cash. Quit.
Did you recognize the voices of your second family?
I did.
And what voices did you hear?
Paul's, Miss Maggie, Mr. Alec.
Do you see anyone in the area?
No, ma'am.
I don't see anybody.
Did you kill Maggie?
No. Did I kill my wife?
Yes, sir.
No, David.
Do you know who did?
No, I do not know who did.
Did you kill Paul?
No, I did not kill Paul.
Do you know who did?
No, sir, I do not know who did. Do you think I killed Maggie?
I have to go where the evidence and the facts
I
take me.
understand that. And you think I killed Paul?
I have to go where the evidence and the facts take me, and I don't have anything that points to anybody else at this time.
So does that mean that I am a suspect?
There is parts next to him there.
And, I called 911, pretty much right away, and she was very good.
When did you hear about the murder at Moselle of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh?
The next morning when I was getting ready to go out there.
The next morning?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How did you hear?
Alex called me. He called me early the next morning.
And what did he say to you?
He sounded shaky on the phone. You could tell he was, his voice sounded really shaky. And he said, B, they're gone. They're gone. And my initial thought was, did she go back to Edison? That thought didn't cross my mind that he meant that they were dead at that time.
You just didn't comprehend
No,
what was
sir,
going on?
I did not. Okay. So he told me again, he said, no, B, they're dead.
I did it so bad.
Maggie's body is lying there underneath that canopy. The kennels are in the background. He was, when we arrived, he was still covered with a pink sheet, but we could tell he was lying face down, just outside the feed room.
How did Paul fall?
Face down at an angle outside the feed room.
On what?
On his hands and arms.
Okay. But his face hit what?
The gravel.
When you saw Richard Alexander Murdaugh, did he have a sheet over him?
He did not.
Could you see his face, his hands, his body, his pants, and his shirt?
I could.
Did he look like somebody who just changed his clothes?
Yes.
And Paul has guns scattered all over the place. So, you know, some of our guns aren't there. But so you want to know all of them, or you want to know what I think is in my house? Or what was in my house on Monday?
Yeah, what was in your house? Let's start with what was in your house on Monday.
Okay, whatever was in my house on Monday is exactly what was there, minus one shotgun that y'all got.
Okay.
No guns have been moved for, you know, there hadn't been any guns moved in and out of there other than when Paul was home. You know, when Paul came home, he would ride around and shoot hogs a lot.
What would he shoot hogs with?
You know, I mean, primarily he would shoot them with Buster's gun. Because
Okay.
Paul had a 300 blackout.
Okay.
And it got, you know, he says it got stolen. You know, and it's been gone for some time.
When you were out there at 5 o'clock at the kennels in Moselle, were there any firearms anywhere on that property that particular day?
I did not see none.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the defense's case.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. All right. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you.
Thank y'all so much. Hey. Thank you, baby.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm innocent. I would never hurt my wife, Maggie, and I would never hurt my son, Paul.
All right. So we just got a little key recap. Now we're going to go back to October 2021. And Alex is on the phone with his oldest son, Buster. This is just months after the murders took place. And thank you all for being here. I saw more join in. Thank you for being here, everybody. Please hit like if you haven't done so. And good morning to all my moderators and everyone. Thanks for being here.
So I did what?
I was talking to Brooklyn.
Hey, when did y'all get, tell Brooklyn, did you tell Brooklyn congratulations?
Yeah, I did.
Can I speak to her?
Yeah, you can speak to her.
Hello.
Hey, darling.
Hi.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Are you excited to find out?
Yes, sir. I was.
When exactly did you find out? Buster said it was when y'all were in the mountains. I wasn't trying to bother y'all up there because I knew you didn't have service.
That was last Friday, so the October 15th.
Did you know you were going to find out then?
Yes, I did.
So you knew you were going to know when you were going up to the mountains?
Yeah, they told us on Wednesday, I believe, that the scores were getting released on that Friday at 4. So yeah, I knew whenever we were going up there.
You weren't really worried, were you?
Oh, I was a nervous wreck.
I remember so clearly. Well, I'm so proud of you.
Well, thank you.
I know y'all are tired. I know you haven't seen Buster, so I'm not going to keep y'all but a second. I just wanted to make sure he made it home okay.
Oh, yeah, and here, you can talk to him.
All right, I miss you.
I miss you, too, and I love you.
Love you.
Tell her.
Hey.
Hey.
What time did y'all get back?
Back to where?
Home.
Like 5 o'clock this morning.
How'd y'all get back at 5 o'clock this morning if y'all left at 10:53 out there? With
time change.
Yeah, I know, but it's 10:53 out there y'all left, right?
No, we left at 9:30.
9:30 out there. So
You left at 9:30. It's a 4-hour flight, so you really land at around 1, and then you travel through 3 time zones, which adds 3 hours. So we landed at about 4:30.
10-4. Dang, y'all have to be tired.
Yeah, I am tired. Well, it was easier for me because they dropped me off in my car, which was in Columbia, and I just went to my apartment and slept for several hours.
Columbia, where did y'all fly into?
Charlotte.
Why'd y'all do that?
It's just that was where the cheapest flight was.
What'd y'all fly
on? Spirit Airlines.
How was that?
It was better than I expected it to be.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, I thought, I don't know, I just, it was better than, I just thought it was a real cheap airline, but I mean, it was nicer than I thought it was going to be.
Did y'all have room in your seats?
The seats were alright, but it was, it's just a different, like the seats don't recline because they can fit more. If they don't recline, it's just, it's just different.
So you went 4 hours with no recliner?
But yeah, I mean, everyone's fine.
Everyone's fine. They couldn't recline, but he's got to make sure, Alex knows everyone's fine. They survived. But yeah, this phone call is speaking about their trip back from Las Vegas. And John Marvin was out in Las Vegas as well. I'm sure you guys know that.
Everyone was fine.
So was it a good trip or, just sort of okay?
No, it was a good trip. It was. It's different going to Vegas with young children. But
okay, so Laura asked, doesn't he hate his dad? So these calls are before he was ever even charged with the double murder. So at this point, he's just been charged with stealing money from the Satterfields. So that is sort of the tone that Buster sort of has. I don't even think that he's really totally grasped the fact that his mother and brother are dead at this point. It's still very fresh. It's only a few months. And I really just don't think that he's even thinking in the smallest part of his brain that his dad is the evil one. I don't know. What are you guys thinking? Some of you have heard this phone call more than I have. So I'm wondering what your guys' thoughts are about Buster. And do you think at this point, even though he hasn't been charged with the murders at this point, do you think that Buster suspects his father at this point, even though, law enforcement haven't even tipped off their suspicions mostly?
Everything was still fun, and then going to Sedona was a good time.
Did you get to gamble any?
Yeah, so I did go gambling, and then the next day there was an article created about how I'm misusing funds.
About gambling?
Yeah, someone took a picture of me and John Marvin in the casino.
You're kidding me. What a fucking... Are you kidding me?
No.
How'd they recognize
No.
you?
Man, I guess, I'm a national figure, I think.
I guess.
And it's kind of hard to hide that hair of his. At one point, Alex says he needs to start wearing a hat places. He doesn't at any point, apologize or say, I'm sorry this is happening to you, son, or it's nothing like that. It's just, well, you're going to have to wear a hat, so it's just very like cold and doesn't sound like he's really helping his son like adjust to it. He's just sort of like, okay, well, you're going to have to do this. And hello, Mike, and everyone else who has joined. Thanks for being here.
Guess you're going to have to wear a hat and shit when you go places. Where are you going to be tomorrow?
Here. Be here.
Hey, please stay on John Marvin's ass to see about that stuff from Mark Ball and any of those other funds to put on that thing.
Being taken care of in the morning.
So Mark's going to do it?
Yep. They're writing the check in the morning. Check will be ready at 8:30. Johnson and someone to pick it up, and simultaneously running it over to Palmetto State to apply it. And I'm driving to Charleston in the morning to pick up the check.
And going to apply that too?
Correct.
I mean, I don't see how they fuss when everything's being applied to the bank.
Yeah, I mean,
10-4.
So all that'll be done. All that'll be done by lunch tomorrow.
That makes me feel better. So it'll be $350. How much has been put on it so far?
Dad, I don't have an exact figure. You know, a couple tens of thousands maybe. You know, just selling pieces of equipment.
Alright. Well, I love you. Hey, bud.
Hey.
What are you doing?
Nothing. I'm in Brooklyn's condo.
So this is another phone call. It's just I don't know, maybe 10 days or so later. It's a week after Thanksgiving. And good morning, Jen Madison. She said, new to me. I think all are speaking in code. I agree. There's a lot of points where, you know, they say 10-4 to each other. And I know people say that, you know, regularly, but it just seems like it's sort of part of their like code talk. Somebody else said, okay, Julia said, Alex has zero human emotion. And think about it, guys. This is just a few months after the murders. You know, we haven't heard Alex say, how are you doing? Like, have you spoken with a grief counselor? You know, nothing like that. So I just think that that's interesting as well.
I get one in a minute. Oh, yeah? You
Yeah.
stayed there last night?
I did.
Well, good. How's she doing?
He's good.
Did she have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Well, good. Tell me about the fishing trip.
Yes, I agree. Butterfly kisses. She said, you can tell Buster is super nervous or uncomfortable on certain phone calls. I totally agree. Like, it's just like, I think even at one point, Alex asks him about putting money on another inmate's card or whatever, because his was maxed out. And he pretty much like tells his dad, he's like, it just sounds like a bad idea, or it sounds sketchy or something like that. And he's like, I just really hope you're not doing things in there you're not supposed to be doing. And Alex is like, I'm not. I don't know. It's just like so awkward. Their dynamic with each other in these phone calls at times.
It was good.
How many did y'all catch?
Caught a sailfish and a couple tuna.
Blackfin?
Yeah.
No wahoo?
No wahoo.
But I mean, when you fishing on a boat like that, it don't. I mean, even if you ain't catching nothing, you're doing pretty good, ain't you? Hey, Buck. Not trying to bug you, babe, but you got to get that thing reset with law school.
I sent an email to Hubbard this morning.
Okay. All right. Well, good deal. Everything else okay?
And I'm just wondering your guys' take on this, because I just find it really fascinating. The fact that, you know, like I said, his mother and brother just passed. His father's in jail. Again, he hasn't been charged with a double murder. So things are a little bit different as far as the climate between Buster and his father, because, you know, that just hasn't happened yet. That hammer hasn't come down yet. Buster hasn't had to like grasp the fact that his father's being charged with it at this point. So I think that that's important to kind of keep in mind. But, you know, he, like, as everyone knows, Buster was kicked out of law school for plagiarism, and Alex is just adamant on getting Buster back in and all that. So I just find it so interesting, like so soon after a traumatic event for Buster, and Alex is like, you really need to call and get back in that law school. It's like, buddy, like let him just, you know, adjust to life without his brother and mother, you know, and then get back into law school. I don't know. I just find it interesting how certain people deal with things, I guess. Some people think like getting back in and keeping busy would be helpful. I just find it interesting the way that we see Alex and Buster kind of deal with their new life at this point. And he's very adamant on getting Buster back in the routine of school and all that. And it's like, you know, you would almost think at some point, or perhaps some families would be on the phone with their dad in jail and say, like, really, Dad, you're getting on me about school right now? Like, I got a lot of other things to be dealing with, or something like that. But that's just not the dynamic here with the Murdaughs. It's just very much like, yes, sir. Like, I emailed them, etc. Good morning, Melissa Jade and everyone else. Thank you for being here. I don't know. I just felt like that aspect was interesting. And yes, they know they're being recorded, but still, you know, they're like, there's no, at some points when I was editing this, I was like, man, like, I'd be like, get off my back a little bit, Dad, but it's not that way. Maybe he wants to, you know, redeem himself too for the plagiarism aspect, you know?
Yeah, what have you been doing? I don't do some Thursday.
No, you talked to me Friday.
I did?
Yeah, I thought you did when you got back to... No, that's right, because it was Thursday afternoon. We were on lockdown Friday.
Yes, Jesse Lynn, you took the words right out of my mouth. If Alex wants to be good to Buster, he should leave him alone to grieve and try and out his life back together. Yeah, try and get his life back together. Alex only cares about himself. Exactly.
Friday. I told John to give you money until I get everything sorted out where I can pay him back. Has he?
Yeah, but I mean, I haven't really needed any money.
Yeah, but you got to pay rent and all.
Well, the one time I paid rent will be tomorrow, though, so I can ask him for money.
Say that again. One time you paid rent and what?
Or, I mean, one time I paid rent, it was out of my account, but I have to pay it again tomorrow, so I can ask him for money tomorrow.
Did you feel uncomfortable asking him?
No, it's not uncomfortable. It's just, I mean, it's not very fair to him.
So, Buster is saying that he doesn't want to ask John Marvin for money and that he's good and it's not like a priority or an emergency or anything like that. And, Alex is pretty much insisting like, well, you got to pay rent. And then it gets kind of muffled when he's speaking about paying rent. He's like, say that again. And so they're just talking more about paying rent. But it's just ultimately, in my mind, there's this money that they want like directed places at this point, because he's facing financial crimes at this point. The money that they have, needs to be moved around, but he's in jail. So he's trying to convey like to John Marvin and to Buster things that he wants done with the financial stuff, but he can't just come out and say it because obviously he's being recorded. So, and then Buster's put in the middle of like, okay, so he wants me to like shuffle around money. Like Buster knows what's going on pretty much. Like all these guys care about his money. Disgusting, right? Yeah, Buster's only 25. Like to me, that to go through what Buster's dealing with, like that's young to me. I don't know what you guys are thinking. And Buster says it's not fair to John Marvin. Yeah, and that's the other interesting element too, which I'm curious what you guys are thinking. Now that we know, and this is why I wanted to go back and listen to this after the trial. Now that we know that John Marvin and Buster go get up and they testify on behalf of the defense, it makes me wonder, like when we're hearing things like, oh, it's not fair to John Marvin and I don't want to ask him. And then Alex says like, don't worry about it. I asked him and he doesn't mind and blah, blah, blah. You just see Alex manipulating the situations so that things go his way, any which way that he can. It also makes me think too, is like, why, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but like, why does John Marvin like owe Alex like all this? Like he's just very much, it seems like the runner around for him, like his little like errand person, and like is bending over backwards for Alex, more so than the other siblings in my mind. I don't know. What do you guys think? And those on replay, comment down below.
Well, but I mean, I've got him keeping up with all of it, so I can pay him back.
I understand.
You don't worry about that. I mean, I've even asked him if he wanted me to do other things, because there's other options, and he's absolutely said, I've talked to him at length about this, so he said he's glad to do it. So don't be bashful, okay? And Buster, you need to get ready for this law school now, okay?
Now, don't be bashful. He's glad to do it. And then after this little like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to put him in the middle, I don't want him, it's not fair to him. Alex eases the situation and then, reminds him, well, you got to get that law school thing like figured out. Like, really?
I understand.
I mean, you got to really buckle down, and you've got to treat it like a job. You're going to have to read these cases 2 and 3 times if you don't fully understand them. I mean, you're going to have to treat it like a job.
I understand.
You promise?
Yes.
Because there's not going to be another chance.
I know.
I mean, no way, shape, or form is there going to be another chance.
I understand.
You do truly understand that?
Yes.
All right. So you going to be on the road this afternoon?
Yes. Yeah, the road this afternoon.
Hopefully I'm going to be able to call again. Hopefully Jim's supposed to come by and meet with him. I'm trying to get the finances straight with them, and I got to talk to John and see, whether we're going to do a loan and then I'm going to pay it back out of the account later.
Yes, Lex Luthor. I told John Marvin to give you money till I get everything sorted out and I can pay him back. And she said, wondering how he plans on doing that and how much money AlexMurdaugh even has left considering all the lawsuits. Right. And I just posted on my community page everything that was paid out, the money and all that. That's the reason why I find it interesting now listening to these phone calls, knowing that John Marvin gets up and testifies for him. Was he like, I want my money back? Like, I'll do whatever it takes to get my money back. Like, I'll go up on the stand for you guys,
Or are we going to have a letter from an opinion from a lawyer who does retirement accounts that rolling it over? Because, if you pay interest on something for, 6 years, it could end up being more than the penalty. But we got to make sure the penalty doesn't open it up to creditors. Because, you're going to need that money. All right. Well, please tell Brooklyn hello.
Okay.
Did you by chance talk to Grandma or Papa T?
So this is where he's asking Buster, pretty much like, have you talked to Maggie's parents? And it's always like at the end of a phone call where he wants to slip in like something that he wants them to do for him. So here, he really wants to know if Buster had a chance to speak with Maggie's grandparents. And now we don't know exactly what this conversation was supposed to entail, but it doesn't seem like Buster was in any hurry to do it. He blames it on not getting a chance to be alone with them to speak, without other family around. But it's just, where there's a will, there's a way. And if he wanted to get the communication to the grandparents, I think he would have, but I'm not sure what Buster or what Alex is asking Buster to ask them, but we can assume it probably has to do with money given the rest of this conversation. And Jen Lou asked something about the trust fund. Like, I need to know what the deal is with the trust fund. Are you saying because it can't be touched? Right. Yes. Okay. So she said, I don't think they can touch that. It's the trust that paid for Alex's attorneys. It seems like no matter what type of lawsuit or creditor or debt is owed, they'll never, like, the trust funds are just safe. And then, so whatever's in that trust fund cannot be gathered for any legal thing that has come across Alex. So from my understanding, I'm wondering if chat or replay viewers know anything more about why exactly all that is safe, but it does seem like that is just untouchable. And thank you, Corey, for becoming a member, and thanks everyone for being here.
I did mention it to him, and I told him that I never really got a private moment with him. I didn't want to keep talking about it in front of people, but I did mention it to him, and they said that they would like to do it, but they were concerned that they wouldn't be able to figure it out via the phone.
Well, if you think they really don't, if you think they really would rather wait until I get out, it ain't gonna hurt my feelings. I understand.
And it's so funny to hear. And good morning, Rebecca. Thanks for being here. It's so funny to hear him say things like, when I get out, it's like, oh, because it's just so funny. He hasn't been charged like yet with the double murders. So he's just like probably looking over his shoulder every single day of like, what do they got on me? All this stuff, but out loud to Buster and John Marvin and his other brother, he's very much like, when I get out of here and blah, blah, blah. And it's just interesting to look or listen back and knowing everything we know now, knowing right now he's sitting by himself in protective custody,
Okay.
What's your opinion?
No, I don't have an opinion. I tried to talk to him about it, but we were always around the entire family, and I didn't really feel comfortable.
You tried what now?
So I tried to talk to him about it, but we were never not around the entire group of the family. So I didn't really feel like talking about it in front of everybody.
I understand.
Hey.
What's he doing?
Yeah, I wonder that too, Lex Luthor. She said, I wonder where Mag's wedding ring is because it was found under the driver's seat in her vehicle when Blanca was cleaning the car. Right. And that was after SLED had taken it in for processing, etc. That whole thing is very sketchy. You know, of course, Blanca finds it, which to me, I'm just like, okay, the woman who washed the pants and cleaned the bathroom, also cleaned the house, you know, finds the ring. I don't know. I know that she did testify for the state, and obviously it went well, but I just have a lot of questions still with Blanca. I don't know how you guys feel, but that's another story. The other question I have, since we're on Maggie right now, what happened to the hair that they found in her hand? Now, I'm told that it was Maggie's hair. Okay, but I'm also hearing that they didn't know if it was tested. So does anyone in chat or replay viewers know what exactly happened to the hair that was found in her hand? Was it tested? And I know everyone's going to say it was Maggie's hair, but we need to know 100%. Does anyone know that? And I'm seeing through StreamYard, somebody said there's new members. So thank you, Shay Benet. Looks like you gifted memberships. And hello, Matt Bond and Kay Danielle. And happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Jen Lu says, okay, low-key, I don't believe Blanca found her ring. There's just something very strange about that. Some think it's dog hair, Kez Chick said. See, that's not good. I agree, April. That's so shady if it was never tested. I'm heard someone else, Criminality Teresa, told me last night, because I quickly asked her this. Excuse me. She didn't even think that it, or she thought that they made it seem like they like lost it, like it was misplaced or something. Oh, thank you, Mike. Thank you, CDT, for letting me know. Mike also gifted 10 memberships earlier. Thank you, Mike. The detective said it was Maggie's hair, right? But she also said that she didn't know if it was tested. Are you talking about the court TV interview she did, Tanya, or was that during the trial on the stand? Yeah, the female detective said the hair was in Maggie's hand. Yes, yes. Marshall Dove, SLED agent, talked about it in an interview, right? But in that same interview, she stated she didn't know if it was tested, but in her opinion, it was Maggie's hair. So I was like, okay, but that's your opinion. You know, we need something 100%. I don't know, guys. I just think it's interesting if they never tested a piece of hair. You know, I know that it's like, okay, I guess we can chalk it up to it was hers. But at the same time, like, I feel like it's something that should be like 100%. Hair wasn't tested because law enforcement said it was obviously chunks of her hair from the bullet wound. Yeah, out the exit. But I agree, guys. It likely statistically and with everything that we know, critically thinking, like it probably is hers. But I just think it's interesting that they would, you know, step over that. Okay, Florida, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for being here.
Nothing. I'm in bed in Charlotte. Am I waking you up?
No, it's not. It's only 9 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
Hey, I hit 9 out of 11 games on Sunday on the pro games.
Well,
I missed the Eagles and I missed the Steelers. The Eagles were 3.5-point favorites over the Giants, and they lost. And the Steelers were 4.5-point underdogs to the Bengals, and they lost by 20. But I hit 9 out of 11. That's pretty damn hard.
Yeah.
I won like 6 soups, 4 beef sticks, bunch of crackers, cookie, a bunch of canteen shit.
Well, that's good.
There was like 13 of us playing. Everybody put in something,
Right.
I won 13 things. So anyway, how you doing? Jim, have you talked to Jim lately?
I haven't. John Marvin talked to Jim today.
Did he tell you about them expediting this thing?
Expediting what?
This appeal. It's called habeas corpus. Then it deals with a constitutional issue. You have a constitutional right to bail for any non-capital offense. And so when he denied bond, they filed a habeas corpus petition.
Yes, Blue Petunias, he's gambling in jail. And this is after he was denied bond. So I'm sure that was a huge, huge shock to him and his lawyers, because it seems like they're like scrambling like on how that was possible, etc.
The Supreme Court first said they weren't going to expedite it. Then they wrote back and gave the Attorney General 10 days to respond. You would assume, or at least the lawyers assume, that if they weren't going to do something, they would just let it sit. But, I mean, I don't get my hopes up, you know, but they seem to have their hopes up.
I hear you.
What else did he tell John?
John said that he was going to talk to me about something, but said he'd rather talk to me about it in person. That's probably what it was.
No, that wouldn't be it. That wouldn't make sense. Why he want to talk to you about that in person?
But mostly, I've had John calling David Owens every day to try to get my guns back. And prior to Thanksgiving, David Owens said that we could have them back, and then today he said we couldn't have them back. So that's what John was calling to tell me, and then he called and told Jim what David Owens said about not being able to get them.
I wonder why.
John said that he used the language out of an abundance of caution.
So Buster wants his guns back, and they're telling him out of abundance of caution, you know, with everything going on, we're just going to hold on to them. Because remember, there's no one charged for the murder of his mother and brother at this point. And then we hear Alex wonder why, like wondering why they won't give the guns back. It's like, yeah, I'm sure you're wondering why.
And John said, well, have you not run the ballistics on them? And apparently he was like, no, we have. And he was like, well, were these guns used in the crime? And they were like, no. And I was like, and he was like, well, why can't we have them back? So.
And isn't it interesting too to hear that John, like in this whole conversation, takes the opportunity to be like, well, haven't you run the ballistics? Because you know he's reporting back to Alex about like, yeah, the investigation and what's going on. And of course he would be, because if Alex is innocent, you know, obviously he's still going to want to know who killed his family, you know. But to know everything that we know now, it's just sort of like, you know, that Alex was just fishing because he was just paranoid probably, or looking over his shoulder every day that he was in jail. And at some point, you know, John ends up telling him like, yeah, they did ballistics. I'm sure of it, you know.
I don't know. I've just been trying to get some of my stuff back.
Hey, John Marvin needs to go. You know that vacuum packer that John Marvin lent us to send the skinning shed?
No, that huge one?
Yeah.
And see, he's talking about something in the skinning shed, some piece of equipment. He's like, you know, the blah, blah, blah lent us. And then Buster's all confused. He's like, the big one or whatever. And it's like, then I think Buster realizes like, oh, okay, I see what's going on. We got to pretend that all this equipment is, you know, was lent to us and isn't our property, so that when they come after our financial stuff and assets, etc., you know, they can't confiscate it or whatever. It can't be used against us or taken. It's just funny to hear them like scheming, and you know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, he needs to go pick that up.
Okay.
Before they, you know, take it like think it's mine.
Yeah.
Paul had borrowed it, and there's a bunch of John Marvin's tools in the shop. I told him he needs to get out. All those Milwaukee tools, all those jacks, all that stuff Paul borrowed, and I borrowed a lot of it too.
Yeah, we're gonna be down in Greenfield this weekend hunting quail, and he talked about going over the Moselle and getting some of that stuff.
Did you call Blanca for me?
No, I still haven't called Blanca.
So Alex is in a hurry to talk to Blanca. This phone call, remember, it's fall 2021, so only, you know, a few months after the murders. And we know all the things that he had asked Blanca to do the day after the murders. You know, please head over there, tidy it up, make it look like nice, because we don't know who's going to be bringing food by or want to stop by and say their condolences, etc. She ends up, you know, seeing that there's a stack of white t-shirts knocked over on the floor, and that there, you know, all this stuff, puddle of water next to the shower. She cleans the drain, you know, all this stuff takes place that we know about because of the trial. Well, here we're listening to these phone calls, and it's just very interesting to me, like how much of a hurry Alex is to get a hold of Blanca. And not only is he, you know, he wants Buster to like pass the message along. And Buster's in no hurry for it. Apparently he even doesn't even have her number. So I think that's interesting that he was in sort of a hasty hurry to get a hold of Blanca for whatever reason. And thank you so much, Rebecca. I really appreciate you. And thanks for all the help you do with the channel and research and all that. So thanks so much. And thanks everyone for being here.
Forgetting to call Blanca.
Okay, do you want me to get somebody else to do it?
No, I mean, I'm fine to do it. It's just, I don't know, for some reason I keep forgetting.
Okay, well, are you going to remember for me? Because I'd like to call her soon. And I don't mind getting somebody else to do it. I know you got a lot going on.
No, I mean, do you have...
You know, he'll even have somebody else pass this message along because it just really seems like whatever's going on here with Blanca and this message is keeping Alex up at night.
Have Blanca's number?
No, that's what I said. I told you I got to get her number, and I wanted you to let her know I'm going to be calling and make sure that she's good with that, number one. And number two, kind of tell her what she's got to do.
10-4. Okay, well, yeah, I'll reach out.
Will you please do that in the morning?
Yeah.
And will you please tell her that I'd asked you to do it before Thanksgiving and you just had a lot going on and forgot?
Yeah.
You promise?
I promise I'm going to try, bro.
All right. I just
I feel confident that I should remember tomorrow.
I know you had said you didn't really want to. I mean, she had irritated you, and if you don't want to call her.
And for some reason, Blanca had irritated Buster at some point. It's like he's almost trying to explain while they're on a recorded phone line why Buster hasn't like communicated with Blanca and that, like, you know, it's not a big deal. He just, you know, she annoys him. So that's why he hasn't passed this message along. But like, I really need to get a hold of her. But it's not anything sketchy. It's just, you know, he is annoyed by Blanca. You know, it's very manipulative. Everything that he says and does, you just know that there's some sort of scheme or other reason for it. So the Poshmark sales were already going on at this point, Jen Lou. So if anyone didn't know, Jen Lou is saying Buster's mad at Blanca because Blanca was selling Maggie's stuff on Poshmark. And now that is very soon after the murders. And another example of them just trying to liquidate anything and everything. And I'm sure he was using Blanca to help him out with all that. It seems so. And it's just interesting to wonder, you know, what else Blanca, I don't know. I get weird vibes by all that. Yeah, I don't know what Blanca was thinking. To me, it just seems like maybe Alex had her doing that so that they would have all that money. I don't know. Did Blanca set up that Poshmark or was it already set up?
I promise you I'll get Lizzie or Grandma or somebody else. Did you get back from the deed?
No. I was checking my email all day today. I emailed him beginning of this week, and I haven't heard back. I emailed him and
Hold on. You did what?
I emailed him and I CC'd the associate dean, and I haven't heard back yet.
Okay, if you don't hear today, this is Monday. You did it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Tomorrow, you might just shoot a follow-up.
Yeah, I mean, if I don't hear from him, I'm definitely shooting a follow-up later this week.
Tomorrow?
And if I don't hear from him, I might get in touch with Butch to see if you can call him and say that I've been trying to get in touch with him.
All right.
Is Butch paid all the money that he was owed?
Yes.
Okay.
Up front, and it was up front, and it was $30,000 up front and 30.
I know with a contingency on if it was successful. I'm just making sure I don't want to call him if he got have the shit he has. It was supposed to have.
Nah, he knows he's totally paid.
I mean, would he be willing to do something like that, you think?
Absolutely. But I would do it yourself first. I'd just say, hey, just following up, you know, at the holidays.
No, I will now, but I mean, if he doesn't answer me by the back end of this week, and we get into the middle of next week, then something's got to be done for me to reach him.
That's what I'm saying. When do classes start?
January the 5th.
5th? Yeah, that's why. You need to send it tomorrow. And if you haven't heard from him by Friday, and I'd say something real nice, just like, hey, just following up on my email. I know this is a busy time of year, but was hoping we could meet soon. Just like that. Or we could get a meeting set soon.
Yeah,
or a reset soon is what I'd say. And then just say thank you for your attention.
10-4.
Something real nice like that. But you ought to send it to Mark to give him a chance to respond to you Friday. Call Butch. I call him late Friday afternoon, and
Okay.
that way he can be prepared to call them first thing Monday morning. Are you willing to do that?
Yeah, I'm the one that came up with the idea of this telephone call.
Buster, there's so many things I got to tell y'all when I get out of here. Lord have mercy. This is something else. But anyway, I love you.
All right, love you too.
I hope you know how proud of you I am.
Yes, sir.
You hear me?
I do.
All right, old boy. Talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Love you more. Bye.
He says, love you more. Bye. And Buster didn't say I love you yet.
No, everything's good. You know, I just...
So again, this phone call, December 2021, the same day as that previous one we just heard with Buster, and this is John Marvin, his brother.
When we start talking about things over the phone, it always bothers me, you know, 'cause I don't know who listens on this phone or not.
And he's bothered because he doesn't know who's listening in on this phone or not. You know, I get it, because like obviously no one wants their calls listened in on, even if you're innocent. But it's just knowing everything before he gets charged with the double murder, etc. They're very concerned, and you can just take it how you will.
Especially this phone, so remember that. I've got to get this finance stuff straight with Jim and Dick.
Okay.
I put some thought into it, and I want you to will you have that letter with you tomorrow when I call you?
No, but I'll see if I can dig it out. That letter really was nothing more than saying that they had received a request to look into it. It didn't say that it was being moved. It didn't say anything along those lines. But I'll try to find that letter.
Find that and try to read it to me, and I'm going to talk to you about this other stuff, and let's figure out, I think I about figured it out, but let's figure out what to do, because I'm not going to be able to talk but about another minute. I'll tell you what I've started doing. You'd be proud of me. I really started exercising pretty.
So now this phone call is with Randy, his older brother, who he worked at the firm with. The one that spoke out after the trial, pretty much saying that he believes his brother knows more about the night of the murders and that he hasn't told the full truth. So now he's going to go into how he was working out, how he works out in jail, etc., and he's losing weight. The only thing that I find sort of interesting about this call is like they both say, he's like, I haven't worked out in 25 years. And then Randy's like, yeah, me either. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then there's a phone call, not on this one, but we'll look at things in the future on obviously these calls. But he speaks with his older sister, Lynn, and she's the oldest of them all. And he says pretty much the same thing about like working out all the time and all that. So he just is like, I seen Corey call him a robot. And that's exactly how I heard his conversation, like with his siblings as like, just very like, the same thing, not really much to add to like their conversations besides just the robotic, like mundane talk. And at one point, Lynn says to him, well, I'm glad you're at least with people. Because remember, this is his county jail. I'm glad you're not by yourself, or something along the lines of being glad that there's other people around him and he's not just like in solitaire, etc. And I'm just thinking with everything we know now and knowing that he's eating alone right now and, his cell is all by himself. He's away from other prisoners. He's very much alone at this point in his life. So the fact that we hear Lynn like say to him on the phone, like as a caring sister, like, I'm just glad you're not alone. It's just like, oh boy, just wait. And by the way, she's made comments on Facebook about the appeal process. I think she said it the day after he was convicted.
Dang hard. I was like almost 2 hours and 40 minutes today, just because we were shut in the room this morning. But I've been like an hour and 15 or 20 minutes a day.
Hey, but that's good. That's very good.
This is the start of my I started on Friday the 12th. And I mean, I can tell a distinct difference already. You know, man, I hadn't exercised in 25 years.
Yeah, but hey, me either, actually.
And,
you know?
I mean, and both laying around in rehab and then really so for 38 days I did very little. The last about 7 I was up a lot more, but I still wasn't doing anything strenuous. So that's a month and a week. And then when I came in here, I obviously thought I was getting out on the 19th, so I didn't do anything. And then I thought I was getting out shortly after that with Donna Maddox, you know. So I didn't do anything for about 2.5 weeks in here.
Right.
Really, it's longer than that. And then I started doing a few push-ups. But for some reason, it made my head hurt after about a few days. But now it's not doing that. I guess.
Yeah, Delana, I agree. Well, you're going to have plenty more time for all that. Like, speaking on exercising, for sure. I wonder if he's still doing his little regimen that he's saying that he's doing, even by himself, like the push-ups, etc. It's just, I found some of this conversation, guys, and there's other channels that have the full phone call. Like, I sort of just cut it out because it was just, like we said, very robotic, very just like like nothing to it when he's speaking to Randy and to Lynn. I try to include just the interesting stuff, but exactly. Jen Lou says, Randy, don't give a F about this, Alex, and you owe him a ton of money. And that's the other, thanks for bringing that up, because that's the other aspect of this phone call I find interesting. And it's just another example of the Murdaughs bouncing around money, you know, before anything really comes down with the hammer and things are really taken from them. You know, they're selling stuff. They're saying stuff was borrowed, so it's not confiscated. And then at this point, Randy has sued Alex for money that he's owed him, I believe $90,000. And the whole thing about listening to this phone call, even though it's just dull and like blah, 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 we have to remember, you know, this doesn't sound like a conversation of siblings that are suing each other, right? You know, it's just obviously that whole lawsuit had a lot to do with getting money themselves in a safe form, in a legal way that could be kept in the family and not distributed or taken by the government, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
You told me that.
I've gotten in better shape.
Have you talked to Jim and Dick or whomever else about filing bankruptcy, bro?
Yeah, I mean, we've discussed it, but there's some time in.
I mean, it's almost like you're stuck in bankruptcy right now, but you got all the bad from it, but none of the good from it. You know what I'm saying?
So we'll see. It would be nice to get out for a little while and then go deal with this stuff, but.
Yeah. Well, Bo, I know.
I look at it as every day I'm in here now is one less day I'm in here in the long run, you know?
Well, you know what? That is the fact. I mean, the fact is, every time there's a new case that comes up, a new, revelation of, something you took, Bo, those same people very, very quickly are going to the, they're being subpoenaed to the state grand jury. So, I mean, it's just, there's going to be more to come. Obviously, you know that.
So Randy's giving him a heads up that they know, like, certain people have been subpoenaed. And yeah, Corey Reeves, the bankruptcy conversation is just like, I mean, that's clearly an indication that, like, they are scrambling to, like, well, what scheme or what route can we take? Like, and that's the thing, is they're doing it by legal means with the lawsuit that Randy put on him and all that money he owed him. It's just like, I mean, it's legal, whether or not he's going to get it, or it's a true, like, lawsuit, as far as, they're talking to each other in the jail, phone calls, it's not really sounding like they're, like, upset with each other. But yeah, the bankruptcy thing is just funny. There was something else I wanted to, I wanted to thank Tom N for being a member, and appreciate you all being here.
All right.
And so, you're right about that. Just, I mean, but the quicker that it all can come to a head, the better, obviously, I think.
I think so too. So, boss, how you doing on finances?
Pretty slim, but it'll be getting better.
Well, listen here. Do you want me to tell Uncle John to give you, several $1,000s, and then I'll pay him back?
No, it's just I've just had expenses, like considering I had to change my medical insurance.
Well, we need to get John to pay for the storage facility and then let me pay him back.
Well, I don't understand how you would.
You need to be paying. But anyway, I mean, do you want me to get him to give you just, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000 so you just have, and you don't have to worry about expenses?
No, because I've got that money. I mean, right now my bank account, I've got $10,000. A little bit more when I
sure, like when you go play golf, you can, if you want to, get a shirt and have a drink and have drinks or whatever at the bar and this, that, and the other.
Yeah, I mean, I've got stuff that can settle all that.
All right. Well, you just got to keep me posted because, I can get him to give you money and then pay him back. Okay.
Pay him back. Ridiculous. Thank you, Tom N, for the super chat and for being a member for 6 months. This guy will appeal, but it's not going to do any good. I thought his defense team would never countered or objected the prosecution. I noticed that too. Like there were a lot of times where there was hearsay with like a witness for the prosecution, but it was never objected on. But I'm also hearing that different courts and judges allow certain hearsay, or I don't know, guys. I just feel like I definitely see what you're saying. Like there was never a time where like they really just here and there, very minimally. I agree with you.
Well, just you got to keep me posted and let me know, okay?
All right.
Everything else going okay?
Yeah, everything's fine.
And that part at the end, because this is only part 1, guys, he says everything's fine. And it's just knowing what we know. And again, this is January, I believe this call, 2022. It's only been 6 months, barely, since like that whole devastation of his mother and brother being murdered, Again, Alex has not been charged with the murders at these points, this whole live stream that we did. But I don't know. What do you guys need? Any questions or anything like that before we close out? Because I just wanted to do this in parts. I want to be able to kind of just dig deep in it with you guys and all that. So we'll do more of these. I don't know if you guys like listening to these. Again, there's other channels that obviously have them. There's other channels that don't pause, but I do like going through them with you guys live, and I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. We will be covering all the upcoming trials coming up. We have Lori Vallow. I did a live stream recapping that case on Monday in case you guys didn't see that. But yeah, I find it interesting too. It's just this case is like a rabbit hole that I'm still kind of digging through. Yeah, they don't even bring up Maggie or Paul on the calls. Like, it's not even like he's saying, have you heard any news in the investigation? Do they have any leads? And again, that can be seen as sort of suspicious, right? I mean, now that we know that he's been charged with it and convicted, it's like, I could see why maybe he wouldn't want to dig into those subjects, but at the same time, it's the lack of that concern or like care. All he's worried about is money, right? That's been the main theme in all these phone calls, no matter who he's talking to, for sure. Tom N says, I smell him shooting for unfair and mistrial. The only thing that I was really just kind of stunned by, but it got approved by the judge, and it seems as though both the defense and the prosecution, everyone was on the same page, was that one juror that was the brother of one of the first responding officers, right? It wasn't a SLED agent. It was one of the local ones. Is that right, guys? either way, I feel like that was approved, and there's no grounds for a mistrial because of that, because they pretty much asked the juror, like, are you sure you're able to, oh, well, I appreciate Kezchick when you are here, so thank you. I just feel like that was just something that I was kind of shocked by, and that everyone seemed okay with it, but they asked the juror if he was able to make an impartial decision, and he said yes. The thing is, though, like, does anyone think that that's what took place? I'm not saying it didn't take place. I'm just wondering, when do I think there'll be a part 2 for this? I'll keep you guys posted on the community page. Actually, let me just switch over to the community page so I can show you guys the settlement, or what actually was reported yesterday on Fox News about the Moselle property. That's what it was. The closing date is set for next week. 1 second, guys, while I switch my screen up. I don't know, maybe Monday I can do this. I would like to put visuals with it, so I'll keep you guys posted. Can you guys see? Okay. Okay, I'm glad you guys like going through these phone calls with me. Again, there's other ones out there. I do try to turn the volume up and enhance it through the editing program to make it a little bit more like sharp and crisp. I hope that helps. Again, they're pretty good quality calls anyways, luckily. So this is where the proceeds from Moselle are going. The top, or the most, is going to Buster. And then there's legal fees, obviously, co-receivers, Connor Cook's family that sued him, and then the Mark Tinsley. So this is the Moselle property is set for closing next week. Financial details below as reported by Fox News, and this was last night. All right. And that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys have a great St. Patrick's Day. Be safe, have fun. Have a great weekend as well. I may go live Monday morning. I usually do. We'll see what I can put together with part 2 in these phone calls. I do want to kind of keep it in the order, as I'm sure you guys would like as well. So we'll see how it goes. Caroline, good to see you. Who and how are those dollar amounts determined? That's a good question. Hopefully someone in chat can answer it, because I was sort of curious in the same. But anyways, guys, should I play those clips that we played in the beginning? It's like 5 minutes and then we can close out. I'll just replay it for those who didn't see them, okay? So bye, everybody.
I think the police have asked us immediately.
This is a long story. My son was in a boat wreck a few months back. He's been getting threats.
Hey, watch your step.
Better than it was, ain't it?
Come here, Kish. Shit. Come here. Post it. Get it.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth. Bubba.
Hey, Bubba.
That's a guinea.
This is a chicken.
Come here, Bubba.
Come here, Cash.
Come here, Bubba.
Cash. Quit.
Did you recognize the voices of your second family?
I did.
And what voices did you hear?
Paul's, Miss Maggie, Miss Alec.
Do you see anyone in the area? No, ma'am.
I don't see anybody.
Did you kill Maggie?
No. Did I kill my wife?
Yes, sir.
No, David.
Do you know who did?
No, I do not know who did.
Did you kill Paul?
No, I did not kill Paul.
Do you know who did?
No, sir, I do not know who did. Do you think I killed Maggie?
I have to go where the evidence and the facts
I
take me.
understand that. And you think I killed Paul?
I have to go where the evidence and the facts take me, and I don't have anything that points to anybody else at this time.
So does that mean that I am a suspect?
There is parts next to him there.
And, you know, I called 911, pretty much right away, and she was very good.
When did you hear about the murder at Moselle of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh?
The next morning when I was getting ready to go out there.
The next morning?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How did you hear?
Alex called me. He called me early the next morning.
And what did he say to you?
He sounded shaky on the phone. You could tell he was, his voice sounded really shaky. And he said, B, they're gone. They're gone. And my initial thought was, did she go back to Edison? That thought didn't cross my mind that he meant that they were dead at that time.
You just didn't comprehend
No,
what was
sir,
going on?
I did not. So he told me again, he said, no, B, they're dead.
It is so bad.
Maggie's body is lying there underneath that canopy. The kennels are in the background. He was, when we arrived, he was still covered with a pink sheet, but we could tell he was lying face down just outside the feed room.
How did Paul fall?
Face down at an angle outside the feed room.
On what?
On his hands and arms.
Okay, but his face hit what?
The gravel.
When you saw Richard Alexander Murdaugh, did he have a sheet over him?
He did not.
Could you see his face, his hands, his body, his pants, and his shirt?
I could.
Did he look like somebody who had just changed his clothes?
Yes.
And Paul has guns scattered all over the place. So, you know, some of our guns aren't there. But so you want to know all of them, or you want to know what I think is in my house? Or what was in my house on Monday?
Yeah, what was in your house? Let's start with what was in your house on Monday.
Okay, whatever was in my house on Monday is exactly what was there minus one shotgun that y'all got.
Okay.
No guns have been moved for, you know, there hadn't been any guns moved in and out of there other than when Paul was home. You know, when Paul came home, he would ride around and shoot hogs a lot.
What did he shoot hogs with?
You know, I mean, primarily he would shoot them with Buster's gun. Because
Okay.
Paul had a 300 Blackout.
Okay.
And it got, you know, he says it got stolen. You know, and it's been gone for some time.
When you were out there at 5 o'clock at the kennels in Moselle, were there any firearms anywhere on that property that particular day?
I did not see none.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the defense's case.
Happy birthday to you. All right. Happy Happy birthday to you.
Thank y'all so much. Hey. Thank you, baby.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm innocent. I would never hurt my wife, Maggie, and I would never hurt my son, Paul.